As I've been listening to your music, I've been thinking of this term, and I don't know if you have a different word for it. I feel like in your music, I hear sort of like object melodies, like contours of objects that have similar or dissimilar sorts of like energies. I'm curious if you have like a conception of like object melodies, or if this is like similar to your way of thinking about how you structure sequences of sounds.
That's a good question. In terms of trying to think about this object melody idea, because I like it, just trying to understand how I maybe would. I think it relates to that sort of mosaic thing because uh, I think you're right that I often end up making these sort of vertical objects, which are orchestrated in such a way that you can't really pull them apart, but they sort of have to be kind of like push button sonorities. I'm thinking back to an early piece that I basically like have sort of thrown away at this point, but it turned into one of my earlier large ensemble pieces. It was originally a kind of a tenor saxophone concerto, and I was working with this saxophone player, Elliot Categno. We were just thinking about, or I was thinking about, and working with him on um, thinking about extended techniques in terms of language, and sort of in a somewhat categorical way, which Lachenmann has done a lot in that respect as well. Um, and so maybe that's the thing that I can point towards the most clearly is that if you're starting to think of complex sounds as belonging to certain different types of categories, whatever they are, if in Lachenmann's case that's sort of like a framework for breaking up inharmonic sounds into like fricatives and plosives and
Right.
things that are modeled on speech,
Hmm.
but also with like the way in which the sound is generated. Um, that allows you to establish difference, and once you've established difference, you can sort of organize it in certain ways that like, oh, this category often wants to go to this category. This category never goes to this category because it doesn't like it's not a smooth euphonious progression.
Mm.
And in language we have that all the time. Certain syllables flow together in English, others are kind of outlawed. We don't say we don't start a word with a K and follow it with a P,
Right.
but languages you do, and it's fine. um, so I think it's sort of that. It's maybe it's some sort of basic uh, in the linguistic sense euphony, which is it's like phonology. It's a grammar or a syntax for thinking about how sounds flow from one to another, which for me is basically entirely intuitive.